So I welcome you all to the lecture on human resource management, and the topic that we are going to cover in today's class is selection. Okay, so we have so far covered the topic of recruitment, and we said recruitment is the process which ends by getting or collecting a large pool of applicants. So the next logical step after recruitment is selection of qualified and competent people. The image of the company, the nature of the job, compensation package which is going to be offered by the organization, the place at which you are going to be posted if you get selected, size of the labor market, and a host of other factors are going to influence the manner in which job aspirants like you people will respond to the recruitment advertisements of a company. By the end of recruitment process, we end up with a large pool of applications. Now you have to remember that selection process involves scrutinizing the candidates applications. You may have received thousands of applications. From them you have to shortlist only those candidates which satisfy the criteria for filling the vacancy as specified in the job description and job specification for that particular vacancy. Now these candidates will have to undergo a series of tests and interviews. The applicants will be eliminated at each stage of the selection process, whereby based on your performance potential, judgment about whether you should be taken forward to the steps of selection are taken by the interviewer. So what is selection? It has come from the word select, which means to choose, and it is a process of picking individuals who have relevant qualifications to fill the jobs in an organization. As I told you, what was recruitment? Recruitment was a positive function. On the other hand, selection is a negative function which aims at scrutinizing the applications and selecting the most suitable candidate for the job. All right. So, what is the purpose of selection? It is to choose the most suitable candidate who can most successfully perform the job out of the acceptable qualified candidates who have applied from both within as well as outside the organization. Now, suppose if I am the interviewer, okay, and I end up choosing a wrong or an inefficient person for the job, then the cost of this wrong selection is going to be very expensive for my organization in terms of money, in terms of time, and in terms of calling trouble for myself. All right. So, what do companies do? They obtain all the information about the candidates and assess this information in terms of their age, in terms of their educational qualifications, in terms of their skills, experience, etc. Now, once you have assessed all the information about the candidate, then you have to ensure that the needs of the jobs are matched with the profile of the candidates. Okay, that is as per the job description and job specification. That does this candidate satisfy the criteria? Does his profile match with the job requirements or not? And finally, we take the decision whether we should be hiring this person or not. So that is what is the purpose of selection. All right. Going to the next slide. Now let us have a look at what are the different definitions of selection. Dale Yoder defines selection as the process of choosing from among the candidates from within the organization or from the outside the most suitable person for the current position or for the future position. Next definition given by David and Robin says selection is a managerial decision making process as to predict which job applicants will be successful if hired. And finally, Stone defines it as it is the process of differentiating between applicants in order to identify and hire those with a greater likelihood of success in a job. So, in all these definitions, what we are trying to emphasize on is that you are differentiating between different job applicants and choosing the best one among them. Moving ahead, let us have a look at the process of selection. Now, selection process includes a series of steps as you can see on your screen. So you have to successfully clear each of the step before proceeding to the next step. And this the figure which is shown on your screen, it is outlining the important steps which are taken in the selection process of a typical organization. But there is no standard sequence of steps which companies take. It may vary from organization to organization, it may vary from job to job. Now, these steps are: number one, reception. Then the next round in the selection process is going for a screening interview. Thereafter, filling up of the application blank, then undergoing selection tests, then going for a selection interview. Thereafter, medical examination will be taken for you. Then the reference checking will be done. And finally, decision of whether you have to be given the job or you are considered to be disqualified for the job is taken. And finally, offer letter will be handed over to you. See, remember, the process of selection starts from the very moment you enter the organization. You are received by the front office executives to whom you will be informing that you have been called for an interview, who then will be informing to the HR department that a candidate has come for the interview for this particular post. Okay, so after the stage of reception comes the next stage, which is called screening interview. Now, this stage is also called as a preliminary interview. And generally, preliminary interview is, taken by a junior level executive from the HR department who wishes to find out whether you are suitable for the job or not. This is also called as courtesy interview, whereby this junior executive will be taking your responses about certain job criteria related items like your age. If the company is looking for a position of sales representative, then they will prefer somebody who is in his 20s or somebody who is in his early 30s as compared to the person who is in his 40s, right? Because they look for young people for this kind of a job, right? In the same way, they may ask you questions like, what is your location preference? You may say that Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad. Then if the executive is telling you that we have job opening for Kanyakumari branch, are you ready to take up the job if we offer it to you? You may end up saying no. Now, if you end up saying no, then at that point itself, you are disqualified and you will not be permitted to move through the next stages of selection process. In the same way, you could be asked a question: what is the minimum pay that you expect? You may not have thought that this kind of question may come. You might have thought that the interviewer is going to ask me, what is your salary expectation? However, what is being asked is, what is the minimum pay that you expect, right? Now, you are in a confusion that what answer should you give. Maybe you say that I expect 50,000, and as far as minimum pay is concerned, maybe I'll be accepting the offer for 40,000. And in case the interviewer tells you that we are not ready to offer 40,000 rupees to a fresher, then what does that mean? Again, you are disqualified at that stage itself. You will not be permitted to move through the other stages of selection process. So the basic purpose of conducting preliminary interview is to cut the cost by allowing only eligible candidates to go through further stages of selection. And that is why your preliminary interview, which is also called a courtesy interview, is conducted by a junior level HR executive, okay, whose purpose is to screen out the obvious misfit for the position for which they have a vacancy. Moving ahead, if you have cleared the stage of preliminary interview, then you will be moved to the next stage, whereby you will be given an application form, which is also called as application blank. Now, in this application form, all the information about you will be collected: information about your academics, information about your demographics, information about your previous work experience, the references of yours. All this information will be collected. And after filling your application form, you will be also asked to sign the application form, which means that you are giving an undertaking stating that all the information provided by me in this application blank is true to my knowledge, and in case any of the information is found to be false in the future, then company has all the authority to terminate my services. All right, so this is a very important document. Now, one of the major reason why candidates are asked to fill the application form is, most of the candidates or the job seekers, they tend to exaggerate or overstate their qualifications on a resume and try to hide those details about themselves which they think may hamper their chance of getting selected. So that is why application blanks are given to the applicants which are to the point and give no scope for exaggeration. Now, having understood this application form part, there are certain organizations which assign some weight or some score to the information which is given by respondents. Okay, so all the items which you are filling in the application form are given some sort of score, which is also called as weight. All the items which have strong relationship to the job are given a higher score. For example, your work experience is being asked in the job application form, and you are writing that you have experience of 5 years and above, then this item will be given a score of 5. In the same way, if another applicant is writing that he has a work experience of 3 years, then this item of his will be given a score of 3. So all the items which are strongly related to the job and which would be beneficial, okay, for the job are given a higher score. In the same way, if there's a vacancy for the position of, say, sales representative, then while writing your marital status, if you mention you're unmarried, and if you mention that your age is in early 30s or you are in your 20s, then again you will be given a higher score as compared to a person who is in his late 30s or in his 40s, or who is married with children, who may have a lot of responsibilities of family, as compared to an unmarried person who doesn't have much of the family responsibility, right? So in this way, a score is given to each of the items which you are filling in the application form. Then total score for each applicant is obtained by adding the weights or the scores of the individual item. Now, when I say score, the other word for the score is called weight. That what weightage are you giving to each of the items in the application form? And the application forms nowadays are also called as weighted application blank. All right. So the another term for application blank is weighted application blank. So once you have added all the scores of each and every item for all the applicant, then resulting scores are used to make the decision of selecting the candidate for the next stage of selection process or disqualifying the candidate at this stage itself. Now, another question arises, what is the advantage of application form? Why should I fill this application form? As I said, number one, that sometimes you exaggerate the information about yourself. That is why the companies ask the candidates to fill the application form, which is to the point where there is no scope of exaggeration. Now, another advantage could be it introduces the candidate formally to the company. Then at the stage of interview, okay, when you reach the to the round of interview, at that time a dialogue can be initiated by the interviewer through the information which you have supplied in your application form. And your application form also helps in cross comparison of all the applicants, whereby they may reject those applicants which do not fill the eligibility criteria for the job at the stage of application form itself. So that is why we hand over the application form to the candidates and ask them to fill. So once you have submitted all your information in the application form, then next stage in the process of selection is called selection testing. Now, in selection testing, a number of tests you will have to write, okay, which help the employer in making the judgment about how superior your intelligence is, what all your abilities are, what is your behavior, okay, your behavioral traits or your personality traits can also be judged through these employment tests. Now there are different kind of employment tests which are conducted by the organizations. You have intelligence test, you have aptitude test, you have personality test, you have achievement test, and there are certain tests like graphology, polygraph, honesty test. All right. Now let us have a look at what is intelligence test. The basic purpose behind conducting intelligence test is to find out the superiority of a candidate in terms of his intelligence as compared to other candidates. These are also known as mental ability test, whereby the employer is trying to measure how well you can comprehend the problem, how well you can understand the problem, how good you are in making decisions, how good you are in making judgments, how well you can understand the instructions. Okay, what is your learning ability? How good you are in reasoning? how good are you in learning new skills, how alert you are. All right, all these kind of skills of yours will be tested through the intelligence test. Now there are different kind of intelligence tests which the companies are using in order to test the intelligence of the candidate. The standard tests which are used are called Stanford Binet test, Binet Simon test. All right, now one of the examples which I have given here for Stanford Binet test. Now this is a kind of question which you may be asked. Then there are another set of tests which the aim of which is to find out how good are your mathematical skills, how good you are in solving mathematical related problems or mechanical problems, clerical problems. So for that, the companies will be testing your aptitude. They wish to find out how what is your ability to learn or develop proficiency in an area. All right, if I am teaching you a new skill, then how quickly will you learn that new skill? Okay, all this is tested using your aptitude test. Now different kind of questions which could be asked during aptitude test is something like this. Now you have been given two figures and then you have to identify that in the last block which of the item will be fitting correctly. Your numerical skills, how are they going to test your numerical skills? A problem like this will be given: 5 by 7 plus 1 by 2 is closest to which of the following? Okay, whereby the answer would be 1. Okay, so in this case what has been given, you have to identify the missing letter in the series. So you have been given 5 to 6 different questions. In each of the question there is a series of alphabets, and wherever there's a question mark you have to identify that out of the 4 options which are given in the bracket on the right hand side, you have to identify which of the option will be fitting at the place of question mark. Now this is another example of testing the verbal reasoning. Okay, so whereby a word is given to you and you have to find a synonym of it. So let us okay, the first word given is rescue. So which is the word which is closest to rescue or which has the same meaning as rescue? 4 options are given to you: command, help, defense, safety. So what is the correct answer here?
Help.
Help.
Yes, help is the correct answer. Next question, reckless. Now 4 options are given to you. We often say, no, he's very reckless. He's driving, okay, his driving is reckless. Courageous, rash, bold, daring. What is the correct
Rash.
answer?
Rash.
Rash.
Rash. Absolutely. Then insolvent.
Bankrupt.
Bank.
Bankrupt. Yes, the answer is bankrupt. So, in this way, the questions related to verbal reasoning, the questions related to logical reasoning, numerical reasoning will be given to you in order to test your aptitude. And thereafter, your personality will also be tested, okay, in order to identify what is your level of motivation, how confident you are about yourself, how emotionally balanced are you, what sort of interpersonal behavior you have, what is your nature in general, are you an introvert or are you an extrovert? Okay, so all this will be tested through personality test. Now of all the employment tests which are conducted on the candidate, only personality tests have generated a lot of heat and controversy. Now, what happens in the personality test? Generally, some sort of questions are being asked from the candidate. And whether the candidate is answering those questions truthfully or responding in a socially desirable manner is questionable. So we are not aware whether the candidate is giving us the correct response as how he really feels at that moment, or he is just making up an answer. All right, and that is why these tests are into controversies. Now some of the tests which are used are called MMPL test, its full form is Minnesota Multifaceted Personality Inventory Test. Then there is another kind of personality test which is called Thematic Appreciation Test, and then you have some job diagnostic survey. Now, in addition to it, there are 3 kind of personality tests which an organization conducts for the candidate. Now, these tests are called as PIP test. P stands for projective test. Second is interest test. Third is called preference test. Let us have a look at what is projective test. As the name says, through this test, you have to make some projections. Now, what sort of projections you have to make? In this test, candidates like you people will be expected to interpret situations based on your own motives, based on your own attitude, based on your own values. Okay, So most of the personality tests that we are talking about are projective in nature. Now, what may happen in a projective test? You may be shown a picture and then you will be asked to interpret or react to what do you see in this picture. You will have to prepare a story and you will have to mention or give your reactions that what do you find in that particular picture. Now, what is being said is that candidates project their own emotional attitude, their own frustrations, their own aspirations and ideas about life into the picture. All right. Now, I'll just show you an example of it to make you people understand. Now, see, in the personality test, now this is an example of your thematic apperception test. Have a look at this picture, zoom it on your screen, and just think if you were sitting for an interview, then how would you respond?
Yes, ma'am. I see a boy whose dreams are crushed, who's losing hope. Like he wants to play the violin, he wants to pursue it, but he's not able to in some manner, and he's looking at it in a sad way.
Ma'am, he seems to like have been pressurized to play the violin where he's not interested in doing it.
Anybody
Ma'am,
else?
it's like a child agonizing over a broken violin.
You're saying that the violin is broken according to you, and
Yes,
perhaps
ma'am.
he's sad about it. Okay. Now, okay, thank you so much for all your answers. When you have to answer at the time of selection to an interviewer, you have to think about the answers which talk about your creativity, which talks about your imagination, which talks about your focus, which talks about your concentration, okay? Which talks about your time management skills. And those things you have to put into your answers. So when you are making a judgment about the picture, when you are saying that this has happened to the boy, you are actually portraying your own image because these are the thoughts which are running in your mind. You are being evaluated on three levels: on the descriptive level, on the interpretive level, and on the diagnostic level. Now, okay, had you said that this boy is actually into concentration and he is deeply focusing on developing a new tune, what does it show? It shows your competency. That you're competent, you want to practice and develop some new tune for yourself. Then, how would it be interpreted if you had said the answer as I told you? If you are practicing or thinking about creating a new tune, it means that you want to improve in your life. Then on the diagnostic level, it would mean that you are an achievement oriented person, okay, and you have high level of self efficacy. Now, what is the meaning of self efficacy? Means believing in your own abilities. He has high level of belief in his own abilities. And had you given such sort of an answer, then all these skills which I am talking about right now, the interviewer would have judged you having the same skills. Because what I said, these are personality tests whereby the evaluator or the interviewer is going to judge your motivation level, he is going to judge your emotional stability, he is going to judge your achievement oriented attitude towards any sort of job or towards any sort of thing in your life. Okay, he is going to judge you based on your competence. All right, and all these skills he is looking into a candidate, and while you are answering such sort of personality tests, you have to give creative answers, answers which are full of positivity. Finally, at the end of the test, the responses which are given by you are analyzed by the evaluator, and a profile of your personality is developed by the interviewer. So this is one of the types. Now let us have a look at another kind of personality test. Now look at this, circular simile which is being shown to you. All right, just zoom it on your screen. Now, there are some words which are jumbled. Okay, now alphabets are shown to you in a horizontal and vertical direction. They are all jumbled, but there are some words which are framed in a sequence. Just speak out the first word that you see in this picture. What?
Lovely, ma'am.
Lovely. All right, then
Help.
help.
Help, ma'am.
Help. Okay, all right, then
Ma'am, sweet,
Happy,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Happy.
sweet, happy. All right, then
Passion.
Thoughtful, ma'am.
thoughtful.
Ma'am,
Yes, very good.
ma'am, honest,
Now,
ma'am.
honest. Now, what
Passion,
I'm
ma'am.
passion,
Passion.
yes. Now, what I'm trying to say is, it is again said the very first word that your eyes catch in this picture?
Ma'am.
Okay, very good. Let me complete now. The very first word that you catch in this picture talks about your personality. Okay, so such sort of things are also being shown to the candidate and they are being told what is the first word you see. Now, if you say lazy is the first word I see, then automatically what happens? The interviewer will be judging about me that she's a lethargic, lazy kind of a person. She's not a go getter kind of a person. So you do not, if you see the word lazy at the first go, do not say that is the answer or do not say that is the first word I saw. Look for some positive words like passionate. One person said happy. Okay, that is also good that you're a happy kind of a person, right? Then another person said lovely, right? That is also a positive word. All these are positive words. It is going to depict your personality. And on the basis of your response, your evaluator or your interviewer is going to judge you. Now, in the similar manner, what you have on your screen is on the right hand side color personality test, and then you will be asked to place the colors in order of your preference, that which color you like the most. Now what is being said is each of the color has a meaning and each of the color speaks about your personality. Now if you say, if you have kept red at the top, it means you're motivated by power, which means that you can take tomorrow leadership positions. You put blue, then blue means you're motivated by intimacy. Okay. Similarly, if you put yellow, yellow means you're motivated by fun. Green means you're peace loving, and so on. All right, so each of the color has a meaning and it is going to depict personality of yours. Another kind of projective kind of test is whereby you will be given sentences to complete, as you can see in this slide, at the bottom. Examples of sentence completion: I wish dash. Now what are you going to fill here? I love dash. Now if I ask one of you, complete the sentence. And remember, whatever you are going to say or whatever you are going to put in this blank is going to depict your personality. It is going to talk something about you, maybe a skill of yours, or maybe a behavior of yours, or maybe talking about your emotions. Yes.
Ma'am, I wish this pandemic will end soon.
See, it is a positive answer, right? That you have positivity about your life. You want the problems to end, all right? But how is it job related? Is your answer job related? Okay, when you're giving the answer, it also has to be creative. At the same time, it has to be job related. I wish I could fly. Now, again, it shows your imagination that you have a, we know that you cannot fly because you do not have wings, but perhaps yes, you can fly in aircrafts, and also it shows your imagination or your creativity. I love dash. If you're a student of aviation, you can say I love aircrafts. Okay, now that shows your passion towards aircrafts because you are in the field of aviation, right? In the same way, you have to think of creative answers while answering such sort of projective sentence completion test. All right, I hate dash. Can I get an answer for this? I hate dash.
Late submission.
I hate late submissions. Very good, which means you're a very sincere, a disciplined person, particular about time. See, when you are talking or when you are giving answers, please keep in mind the skills that an interviewer looks for or the strengths that a person should be having, right? Whatever strengths you have mentioned in your CV, okay, that I'm a sincere kind of a person, I'm a disciplined kind of a person, I am good at time management. When you're answering the questions, you have to put those strengths of yours, those skills which you think the interviewer is looking for in a candidate. I hate people who are not a team player. Okay, which means that you are a team oriented person. Okay, so think of some creative answers at the same time which are job related. Okay, then moving forward, the second type of test is called interest test. Now, these are the tests, as the name says, which is going to check whether you are actually interested in a job or simply you wish to have it in order to earn bread and butter. Are you really passionate about this job or not? So these tests will be showing areas of work in which the candidate is most interested. Now, idea behind conducting such tests is people are more likely to be successful in jobs they like and are interested in. So your personal likes and dislikes are being identified through these interest tests. Now, one of the example for the interest test is Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory Test, which I also said is called as MMPI test. Now, this MMPI test was actually constructed whereby there are some 100 statements which are put as a part of this test. Now here we have just taken for an example 20 statements. Okay. Now in each of these statements there are certain items which are shown to you. For example, the first statement says, I like mechanic magazines. Second statement, I have a good appetite. Third statement, I wake up fresh and rested most morning. Now, as a candidate, what you have to do is you have to give a score from 1 to 5 to these statements. If you are positive about the first statement, that if you really like mechanics magazine, then if you strongly agree to the statement, then you have to give a score of 5 here. And if you do dislike the statement or you strongly disagree to the statement that you do not actually like mechanics magazine, then you have to give a score of 1 here, which means you strongly disagree with the statement, which is not true as or as you are concerned. Then I have a good appetite. If you really have a good appetite, you have to give a score of 5. If you do not have a good appetite, then you have to give a score of 1. And if you are neutral to the statement, then you will be giving a score of 3. Then by the end, what is being done is whatever scores you have given to all these 20 statements, all these scores will be calculated. Okay, and the resultant number or the sum which is coming, based on it the evaluator will be deciding whether you are interested in a particular job or not. All right, what are your interest related to a particular job or related to a particular area in which you have applied for the job. So this, out of those 100 statements, the 20 statements which are actually related to the job for which you have applied will be asked to you. Okay, and based on your score, your like and your dislike towards that job will be evaluated by the interviewer. Now this type of test is called as MMPI test, which is part of your interest test. The third kind of test is called preference test. Now, what are preference tests? Again, in these tests, organization or the evaluator is trying to compare the candidate's preferences with job and organizational requirement. Now, one of the tests which is being used as a part to find out what is your preference towards the job is called as job diagnostic survey. Now this job diagnostic survey was developed by Hackman and Oldham. Now there is a model of personality which is called as job characteristic model. Now in that job characteristic model there are 5 factors which define that how much an individual will be committed to his or her job. Now, the 5 factors which have been defined in this job characteristic model are: number one, skill variety; number two, task identity; number three, task significance; number four, autonomy; and number five, feedback. Now, based on these 5 factors, 23 statements will be shown to you. Now, in these 23 statements, some of the statements will be part of your skill variety factor, some of the statements will be part of your task identity factor, and for other factors. Now, whatever, then you will be asked to give a score to each of the statements from 1 to 5. 5 means you strongly agree with the statement, 1 means you will strongly disagree with the statement. Then whatever score you are giving to each of these statements also be calculated. Then whatever value has come for skill variety, task identity, task significance, autonomy, and feedback will be called as your MPS. MPS stands for motivation potential score. Now what motivation potential score is basically a score which is going to identify your behavior towards the job that you are going to take or you might have held in the past in some other organization. If your motivational potential score is towards higher side, okay, its value can range from 1 to 125. Now if the value or the score for MPS is towards 125 on the higher side, it means you are a person who is job oriented, who is committed towards his job. But if your motivational potential score is low, it means you are low on commitment towards job. All right. So this test shows how people or how the candidates whom we are going to evaluate for the job differ in their preferences for achievement towards the job, how achievement oriented, how committed they will be on the job if it is being given to them. All right. And please remember, we are calculating motivation potential score for each of the candidate, the autonomy value and the feedback value cannot be zero, because if it is zero, then your motivation potential score becomes zero. Okay, so we have seen that personality tests are of three types: projective test, interest test, and preference test. Kind of test, okay, are called as achievement test. Now, what is achievement test? As you can see on the screen, now these are the tests which are being conducted to test whether whatever you claim to know, do you actually know it or not? Can you actually achieve it or not? That is why we call them as achievement tests. Now, when I talk about achievement tests are categorized into two different phases. The first kind of achievement test is called job knowledge test, whereby your knowledge is being tested by the interviewer. Suppose you have applied for the position of chartered accountant. Then, to test your knowledge, you will be asked questions about accountancy, about banking laws, about business management, about financial management, just to see whether you are having the knowledge for taking up the position of chartered accountant or not. All right. Then another kind of category of achievement test is called as practical test, okay, whereby a portion of the actual work is given to you as a test and you are told to perform it. Suppose you are going for the position, you are going for the interview for a position of sales representative. All right, I remember one of my previous batch students, he went for a marketing related interview. Now what happened during the interview, the interviewer told him, imagine that I am a villager, I am an illiterate person who doesn't know reading, who doesn't know how to write and all. Okay, sell this pen to me, convince me to purchase this pen. Now that is part of achievement test. When you are going for a position of marketing representative or a sales representative, then if you are not able to sell, okay, or if you're not able to show your skills at selling or at marketing a product, then are you fit enough to take up that job? Okay, it means that whatever you claim to know or whatever you claim to do or achieve in the future is being tested by the evaluator by taking the test of your knowledge related to the subjects and also taking a practical test. So that is what is called as achievement test. Then another kind of tests are called as situational test. Now what is happening in situational test, you will be given a situation and then you will be asked critically analyze the situation. Now under situational test, your group discussions fall. When you're going for the interviews, many of you who have faced the interviews in the past, you might have been administered through group discussion, whereby a topic is being given to you and then the candidates are being grouped into two categories and one is told to speak in favor of the topic and another category of students is told to speak against the topic, right? In these group discussions, the topic which is given to you is a situational topic, whereby you are being observed in the area of how good you are at initiating the things, how good you are at leading the things, can you be a good leader, how good you are at proposing valuable ideas, how good is your oral communication skills, how good you are in coordinating with other candidates, and how good you are at concluding skills, how do you give concluding remarks. All this is being observed on the basis of which you are being, your responses are being analyzed by the evaluator, and thereafter the decisions are being taken whether you should be taken to the further stage of selection process or not. Now, another kind of situational test, just like group discussion, is also what we call as basket test. Now, what is happening in basket test? As the name says, basket. You are given a basket containing different type of letters, containing different kind of pay orders, containing different kind of requests, and you are being told to analyze after going through the content of all these documents in the basket and to give your reaction to it or to find a solution to the problem that you found in the letters or in the pay order. So, based on the response that you give, your conception, how well you can conceive the things, how well you can investigate the things, how well you can perceive the problems, and how well you are in making decisions as a leader is being tested through the evaluator or through the interviewer. Now, both basket test and group discussion test fall under the category of your situational test. All right. Now, another kind of test is graphology test. Now, you remember when I was talking to you about application blank, whereby I said you people have to fill up the application form, whereby you have to fill up all your details which you had mentioned in the CV, and all the details have to be filled by your own hand. Okay, so what is the purpose of getting the application form filled from you is it is a kind of a graphology test whereby the way you are writing your handwriting, based on your handwriting, the company is going to evaluate your personality and your emotional makeup. Now let us have a look at different kind of handwritings. Now in top notch organizations, they have what we call as graphologist. Okay, these are the trained evaluators who examine the lines, the loops, the strokes, the curves that you make in your handwriting, based on which they make a complete picture of yours, that what sort of person you are in real life. You can see this handwriting, right? First word is written very straight. Okay, there's no variation in the alphabets. If you look at the second word, S is bent towards left side, L is bent towards left side, T has a bent towards right hand side, right? In the same way, variation, if you see, it is bent towards left hand side. If you look at THE, it is bent towards right hand side. What does it show? It shows that you have a conflict between your head and heart, okay, which means you have a trouble making decisions. And these are the people who have dual kind of personality or they have mood swings. Now, this is being depicted through the handwriting. And graphologist experts, what do? They depict your personality through your handwriting. And if you remember what I said in the very beginning, that these kind of personality tests have gained a lot of heat and controversy, because not necessarily a person who has this kind of a handwriting may be a person who would have trouble making decisions. That may not be true, right? But if you have this kind of handwriting, graphologists would say that you have unpredictable mood swings. You are a person whose head and heart are always in conflict. Now, if you have this kind of a beautiful handwriting, then, okay, extremely small writing. People that write tiny have the ability to shut everything out of their mind. These are the people who are focused people. They have intense focus, full of concentration. Now, if people have such sort of handwriting where they make these loops, okay, these loops like S, this is an S whereby this loop is being made, W, okay, at the beginning of the W, there's a loop which has been made, right? So if you have this kind of a handwriting, then you people have desire for responsibility. You can take up leadership roles. Then comes another kind of test which is called as polygraph test. Now, what is happening in polygraph test? We all are very well aware. It is a lie detector test whereby, as you can see here in this picture, a rubber tube is put around your chest and then sensors are attached to your fingers that will be recording physiological changes in the candidate. So the polygraph test, what happens here, it records physical changes in the body as the candidate answers a series of questions, and all these fluctuations in the respiration, in the blood pressure, and in the perspiration are shown on the graph paper, and from which the evaluator can make a judgment as whether your response is truthful or deceptive. Now, this polygraph test is not conducted for everybody. Now, if you are going to fill positions in the for the security level, or for the police, or if you are going to fill positions related to fire and health, in that case, such sort of test may be conducted on you. But otherwise, polygraph test is not normally conducted by the employers. So these are the different kind of employment tests which a candidate undergoes in the part of selection procedure. Now, once your selection testing is being done, then we move to the next stage of the selection procedure, which is called selection interview. Now, if you have cleared all your tests, then you will be proceeded to the next stage of the interview. Now, what is interview? It is the oral examination of you for the employment, whereby the interviewer is going to ask you certain questions which may not have been covered in the test and in the preliminary interview. For example, suppose you completed your UG in the year 2018, then you started your PG in the year 2020, which shows that you were not doing anything in the year 2019. Now a question may be asked to you by the interviewer, what were you doing in the year 2019? Why is there is a gap? Why there is a gap in your studies? In the similar way, suppose you completed your MBA in the year 2020 and you apply for a job in the year 2021. Then again, if you show that you do not have any past experience, you did not do any sort of job in the past 1 year, the interviewer may ask you that for the past 1 year, what you had been doing. So such sort of questions may be asked to you during the selection interview. And in the selection interview, the interviewer is going to make judgment about your intelligence, about your enthusiasm. How passionate are you about this job? How badly do you want this job? Okay, it is going to be evaluated through the interview process which will be conducted in this stage. Then another aspects of the candidate, which is called subjective aspects, like your body language, your facial expression, your appearance, your nervousness, everything will be evaluated. When we talk about selection interview, now there are different kind of selection interviews. The first kind of interview is called directive or structured interview. Now, what is the directive or structured interview? In this kind of interview, as I said, a predetermined set of questions which are clearly job related are asked from the candidate. For example, why should I hire you? What is your work experience? Introduce yourself to me. So these will be the basic 7, 8 questions which each and every candidate who is coming for the job for this particular position will be asked. That is why we call this interview method as directive or structured interview. Then another kind of interview method is called as non-directive or unstructured interview. Now, in this interview, what happens? The interviewer is asking the questions as it comes to his mind. So there is no list of questions that he has prepared. All right. So he may tell you, tell me about yourself. What is your greatest strength? What is your greatest weakness? How will my company benefit by having you as an employee? Any sort of questions may be asked to you. You can talk freely as much as you want in the non-directive, unstructured interview method, but that is not true in the directive method. Then another kind of method is called panel interview, as you can see on your screen. Now, in this method, what happens? There is a panel of interviewers. So could be 3 to 4 people who will be taking chances one by one and be posing questions to you. Okay, and each of this person will be an expert in their area. So they are trying to evaluate whether you have a knowledge about each and every area which you claim to have. So this is what is called as panel interview. Then you have situational interview. Now in situational interview, what would happen? A situation will be given to you and you will be asked to respond to that situation. For example, you may be told that how will you handle an irate customer? If a customer comes to you who's very, very angry, then how are you going to handle him? So this is a situation which has been given to you, to which you have to respond. Then another kind of interview method is called as stress interview. In this interview method, the interviewer will continuously interrupt you while you are speaking in order to give you stress. Whatever answer you are giving, he is going to criticize your opinions just to provocate you, just to see whether how good you are at handling stress. He may ask you embarrassing questions. He may ask you rude or annoying questions just to see whether you can handle adverse situations or not. All right. For example, some of the questions which you may be asked. Based on what you know about us, what could we be doing more efficiently according to you? Rate yourself on a scale of 10. Did you think of leaving your current position earlier? If so, what has made you stay till now in that previous organization? Once you have cleared the stage of interview, if you get through the stage of final interview, then next stage is whereby the organization is just going to see whether you are medically fit to take up the job or not. A small medical examination will be conducted for you. So that is what is the next stage, which is whereby you are being examined medically to see your suitability for a specific job. And finally, if you are found to be medically fit, then the references that you have given in your resume or and in your application blank, these people will be emailed or they will be called, whereby they'll be asked to tell about your regularity, about your character, and about your progress. And the references that you are giving can either be from the people who know about your academic achievements, or your previous employer, or your co-worker with whom you have worked in the past. And if these people give a clean chit about you, then the final decision of hiring or disqualifying you is being taken. If HR manager makes a decision of selecting you, then you are given the offer letter and asked to join from a particular date at a particular position in a particular organization.